Thoughts to Build On by Emma KOPMEYER, 31. Chapter 31. Be Prepared. There is much wisdom to be found in mottos. One of the wisest of all is the motto of the Boy Scouts, be prepared. The admonition to be prepared applies to almost every facet of life, and since we cannot examine all in one brief chapter, I'm going to choose perhaps the most unpleasant but most needed. Malcolm Muggeridge said, "Religion wisely assumes misfortune, and so survives, when earthly utopian hopes, which must inevitably be disappointed, soon perish." We should not leave the assumption of misfortune entirely to religion. The acceptance of the inevitability of misfortune as a frequent or infrequent part of life should be individual and not a matter of religion only. So each of us should be prepared to accept such misfortunes as inevitably will come our way, realizing that life was not made for our enjoyment, but for our living. Nor is it proper for us to complain, because, in complaining we would, in justice, have to define such of our terms as misfortune and enjoyment. Would you describe the ultimate and inevitable misfortune as being death, that of a loved one, or yourself? Do you think of life as the ticking of a clock which grows louder with each passing day until it becomes the tolling of a bell? You don't have to ask for whom the bell tolls. You know. Yet, even as the ticking goes on, you must consider the words of Swift, who wrote, "It is impossible that anything so natural, so necessary, and so universal as death should ever have been designed by Providence as an evil to mankind." The ticking reminds us, too, of the words of an unknown author. The clock of life is wound but once, and no one has the power to tell just when the hands will stop. At late or early hour, now is the only time you own. Live, love, toil with a will, place no faith in tomorrow, for the clock may then be still. You cannot control the length of your life, but you can control its other dimensions, its breadth, its depth, and its height. It is within these dimensions that you live your unrepeatable miracle, for that's what life is, a miracle, and unrepeatable. Perhaps the miracle of life explains our inability to fully describe its nature. Even if we do not clearly understand what misfortune truly is, since it can shift like a chameleon from bad to good depending on our perspective, it is wise to assume wisely and be prepared. Being prepared for the inevitability of what we consider misfortune does not mean dwelling on it, obsessing over it, or fearing its arrival. We should simply acknowledge the truth that this, too, shall pass, and accept this reality so that if change brings less favorable circumstances, we will neither be overwhelmed nor surprised. By neither being overwhelmed nor surprised by misfortune, we can respond as we have prepared, with calm acceptance and serenity. Thus, having prepared for the inevitable misfortunes we will encounter along the way, we can continue our life journey with grace and confidence. To be forewarned is to be forearmed, is not merely a physical concept. In the context of this chapter, it is mental, emotional, and especially spiritual. To know in advance that neither enjoyment nor sorrow is our destined end or path, is to be prepared, with a realistic outlook on life, one not based on utopian hopes, which Malcolm Muggeridge warned, must inevitably be disappointed and soon perish. So let us be forewarned and therefore forearmed, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, to meet with triumph and disaster, and as Kipling advised, treat those two imposters just the same. Yes, the graph lines of every life move up and down. In realizing and accepting this, we achieve, in our personality, the vital balance about which psychiatrist Dr. Karl Menninger wrote. We can be prepared without being apprehensive, because it is in the serene knowledge of our preparedness that we lose our apprehension and attain that vital balance and composure to meet the inevitable vicissitudes of life.